Hey folks, John Becker here, Union Township trustee and former state representative from Claremont County, bringing to you the May issue of the Becker Report. And if all goes well with technology, the report will hopefully go out this evening. So my contact information is at the end of this video, and in the May issue, the issue isn't so much lengthy, but I think this video is going to be a little bit longer than they normally are. So what I started out with was kind of like a little bit of inflation 101. So, or I should say maybe economics, basic economics 101. So the Biden administration, Democrats like to scream that it's all about corporate greed is why we have inflation. Well, it begs the question, well, why did all those decades of no inflation, how come all of a sudden now the corporations decided to get greedy and raise the prices? Well, it may have something to do with government policy. And not just government policy, but private sector as well. So the UAW strike comes to mind. The public by and large, from polling that I saw, seemed to support the UAW for them to have higher wages. Okay, well that's all fine and good, except that translates into higher sticker prices for automobiles. And of course, if you're buying them by the fleet, if you're a rent-a-car company or a trucking company or you're whoever that buys a lot of cars, well, their costs have now gone up. And when their costs go up, they have to pass it on to the consumer. So that's that's an example of how inflation occurs. And also then there's talk now of increasing the minimum wage in Ohio. Well, again, with a higher minimum wage, that's going to increase the cost to employers. So you're going to have actually, as a result of that, higher unemployment for the people in that wage band, and higher costs that get passed on to consumers. So I'm seeing things in the news about fast food prices have been going up, and that's been a problem for a lot of people. Well, if you want the problem to get bigger, increase the minimum wage. So that's it's kind of a simplified version of how that works. And then also something I touched on was, and I'm going to read you some bullet points here out of the Becker Report. So Biden's policy of, I think the word he uses, forgiving these student loans. So, first off, these student loans aren't, forgiven per se. They're transferred to the national debt. That means you and I are paying for those loans. So there is no forgiveness. The question is just who is paying for the loans is all it comes down to. So then you have to transfer that to the national debt. You have increased borrowing, increases the demand for borrowed money, which then increases interest rates. So with higher interest rates, then you're going to have higher inflation. The increased government borrowing increases the national debt. The higher debt results in higher interest payments on that debt, being as the government borrows money to pay the interest on the national debt. Higher interest rates and payments increases the national debt, and the cycle of financial malfeasance feeds on itself. This is, of course, unsustainable and will eventually end in calamity. So I was watching this newscast where they were whining about the prices at Kroger. And what I'm waiting for is, well, how about throwing in some suggestions of why Kroger's raised their prices, why food has gone up, as if to imply somehow this is Kroger's fault. Well, what does Kroger have to deal with? So I mentioned a few bullet points on that one. So they've got higher borrowing costs for investment in plant and equipment. Of course, as interest rates goes up, that's costing everybody more money. They got higher wages they have to deal with, higher fuel costs, higher utility costs, the wholesale supplier cost. That's probably the biggest of all of these, and higher taxes. Every time we the people increase property taxes, that has an impact on your prices, because the property tax, when Kroger's has to pay higher property taxes, their costs go up. Those costs get passed on to the consumer. It's really that simple. So also then I talk about property taxes that frankly it's just a necessary evil. It funds our public schools, social services, local governments, roads, parks, police, fire, the list goes on. And that, with those higher costs, like with Kroger, it'll cause, rents to go up. So, if you're a property owner and or let's say you're a renter, you're renting a house or you're renting an apartment. So now property taxes go up for the landlord, the owner of the property. Well, those increased taxes get passed on, to the renters. So whether that's consumer rent or commercial rent, it all works pretty much the same way. And by the way, I guess I should have prefaced this whole discussion with, this is arguably oversimplified, describing how this works. This is just to throw some concepts and some ideas out for you all to consider. So then I move into real heroes. So a couple that come to mind that's been in the news lately is football player Harrison Butker. And, he's standing by his comments, and I kept listening to it multiple times, waiting for what's the controversial part of what he said. And, to me, it was, I guess I don't understand what was controversial about it. So maybe I'm the problem here. I don't know, but it all sounded, straight up logical to me, what he said. And then you got this Micah Price. He's a student over in North Kentucky, I think at Campbell County High School, and some comments that he made at his, his graduation speech. So, those are some heroes that I like anyway. So I mentioned the Becker Report, the subscriber list, and technology happens. I'm not sure if I mentioned this last month, but it was a couple of months ago. I discovered a problem with people trying to subscribe to the Becker Report. So I had the system was set up, and I was using it's called MailChimp. And something broke in the system. So you could go to my website, you could just put in your email address, it would automatically get loaded to MailChimp, and then MailChimp is what I use to send out the newsletter every month. Something broke, and that wasn't working. And there was another component of that where those subscribers would get forwarded to my email address. And that wasn't working either. So I had two problems that occurred at the same time, and this had been going on for months. I wasn't aware of it. So I've gone to a whole new, or maybe an old system, I should say, where I'm just maintaining the list manually in an Excel spreadsheet. Real simple. You send me an email telling me, you want to subscribe, I put you on the list. Send me an email telling me you don't want to subscribe, you want to be off distribution, I take you off the list. Works that simple. So now I'm controlling the mailing list. And we'll be able to keep track of who wants to get the Becker Report and who doesn't. And my apologies to you who had maybe thought you had subscribed or tried to subscribe and it didn't go through. It was just a technical glitch. So then I also have a Union Township update going on. So I'm just going to kind of run through just some things that are going on during the month of June. So on June 7th, and I'm not going to be able to be there for this event. So you're going to have both the first farmers market, and you're going to have the first concert. So the farmers market's going to start at 4, the concert starts at 7, there's going to be food trucks available starting at 6:30, and the concert's going to be, is it pronounced Whammies? I'm not sure who they are. Then on the 11th, we have a trustees meeting, it's at 6 o'clock. On the 14th, similar to the 7th, you got the farmers market, so that's going to be every Friday. And then you have also another concert, and that's going to be the Kevin McCoy Band. Again, the 21st, you have the farmers market. 25th, we have a trustees work session. I'm not sure what the topic is going to be for that. The 28th, again, the farmers market. And the 29th, there's this kids program. It's called Madcap Puppets Performance. And it's going to be the amphitheater behind the Union Township Civic Center. So on the section of new and growing businesses, so there's 3 of them I want to point out. So there's a place up by Jungle Jim's. I think it's in the old Jimmy John's sandwich shop location. It's called I Love Nudes, Noodles, Dim Sum, and Bubble Tea. I hear they're really good. I haven't been in there yet, but they're open for business now. Also, a lot of people have been asking about the Outback Steakhouse and when that's going to open, and it is open for business now. And also been getting inquiries about the grocery outlet. That's going to be over by Best Buy, and it's going to be in the old Bed Bath & Beyond location. And they are scheduled to open on June the 20th. At least that'll be their grand opening. You know, maybe they'll have what's called a soft opening prior to that. So then to round out the Becker Report, I have my usual sections of the event calendar, Video Central, the Becker GOP YouTube channel, and then the Becker GOP archives. Until next month, this is John Becker. Have a great day. Bye-bye.